You got the thing. You don't remember exactly when it happened. Maybe it was the job offer. Maybe it was moving into the apartment. Maybe it was the person finally saying yes. There was a moment somewhere where the thing you had wanted for months or years or your whole life was actually in your hands. For about 3 days, it felt incredible. For about 3 weeks, it felt good. By week 6, it was just your apartment, your job, your relationship. By month 3, you started noticing what was wrong with it. By month 6, you wanted something else. You're not ungrateful. You're not broken. You're running. With absolute biological precision, the program every human brain has been running for the last 200,000 years. And the program is not designed to make you happy. The program is designed to keep you chasing. In 1978, 3 researchers at Northwestern University, Philip Brickman, Dan Coates, and Ronnie Janoff-Bulman, published one of the most quietly devastating studies in the history of psychology. They tracked down 22 major lottery winners and 29 people who had recently become paraplegic from accidents. Then they asked both groups, on a careful scale, how happy they were, how much they enjoyed everyday pleasures, how happy they expected to be a few years from now. The results were not subtle. The lottery winners, on average, rated their daily life as no happier than ordinary people. The activities of normal life, eating breakfast, talking with a friend, watching television, gave them less pleasure than they gave the control group. They had returned within months to roughly the same emotional baseline they had occupied before the winning ticket. The paraplegic group reported being less happy than controls, but only modestly. And within a relatively short period of time, they too had begun adjusting back toward their pre-accident baseline. Brickman and his colleagues called this the hedonic treadmill. Whatever happens to you, wonderful or terrible, your brain adapts. You feel the spike, and then, with a relentless gravitational pull, you slide back to where you started. The winning ticket and the broken spine both fade into the same quiet center. This is not a flaw, it is the design. To understand why, you have to go down to the level of a single chemical. A neuroscientist at the University of Cambridge named Wolfram Schultz spent decades studying the brains of monkeys. He gave them small amounts of juice through a tube, and he measured the firing of dopamine neurons. The cells, most people loosely call the pleasure chemical. What he found, starting in the 1990s, reorganized the entire field. Dopamine does not fire when you get the reward. It fires when you get a reward that is better than you expected. This is what's now called the reward prediction error. If a monkey expects juice and the juice arrives on time, the dopamine system shrugs. It doesn't fire. The juice is just background. But if the juice is bigger than expected, dopamine spikes. If it's smaller than expected, dopamine actually dips below baseline. The brain interprets the gap as a small loss. In other words, your brain is not measuring how good your life is. It is measuring whether your life is going better than predicted. The moment your prediction catches up to your reality, the dopamine signal turns off, and the thing that used to thrill you becomes the new wallpaper. The Stanford neurobiologist Robert Sapolsky put this even more bluntly. He pointed out that the largest dopamine releases in the brain don't happen when you get what you want. They happen during the period of anticipation when you don't yet know if you're going to get it. Maybe is the most powerful word in the dictionary, neurologically speaking. The slot machine, the dating app, the email refresh, they all weaponize the same circuit. The brain doesn't reward the prize. It rewards the maybe, which means the architecture of your reward system has been quietly betraying you your entire life. Every time you finally got the thing, the chemistry went silent because the prediction had been met. Every time you started chasing the next thing, the chemistry lit up again because a new maybe was on the table. The thing you wanted was never going to make you happy in any sustained way. The chase itself was the meal. But what's worse is what a psychologist named Sonja Lyubomirsky discovered when she actually measured this across thousands of people. Lyubomirsky, who runs a happiness research lab at the University of California, Riverside, has spent 20 years asking a simple question. If circumstances don't make people happy in the long run, and they don't, what does? She found something almost no one wants to hear. Roughly half of your happiness level appears to be set by genetics. You inherit a baseline. Identical twins, raised apart, end up at almost identical happiness levels by adulthood. About 10% of your happiness, she estimated, comes from circumstances, income, marital status, health, where you live. Only about 40% is potentially under your control through deliberate practices. The number that should bother you is the 10%. 10%. That is the entire budget for getting the things. The promotion, the apartment, the relationship, the body, the car, the recognition. Every single thing you have spent your life chasing fits inside a sliver that small. Because of the hedonic treadmill, you don't even get to keep most of that 10%. You spike, you adapt, you return to baseline, you start chasing again. This is the bind. Your brain is running an algorithm optimized for survival in a world that no longer exists, where every small advantage, more food, higher status, safer cave, translated into more offspring. The algorithm doesn't care about your peace. It cares about your motion. It will erase every win you achieve in order to keep you pushing for the next one. You are not failing to be happy. You are succeeding perfectly at being the kind of animal that doesn't stop. Here is the part to hold on to. Lyubomirsky's lab and many others have spent the last 20 years testing what actually moves a person's happiness baseline. What works against the treadmill? The findings are quiet, unglamorous, and surprisingly consistent. Gratitude works. Subjects who wrote down 3 specific things they were grateful for at the end of each day, for as little as 2 weeks, showed measurable, durable increases in baseline well-being, not because gratitude is magical, but because it forces the brain to attend to rewards it has already received and would otherwise file away as wallpaper. Savoring works. Slowing down inside a small pleasure, really tasting the first bite of food, really feeling the warm shower, really listening to the song, interrupts the prediction circuit. You can't adapt to something you are paying close attention to. Investing in relationships works. The single strongest predictor of long-term well-being across every culture studied is not income, not achievement, not health. It is the quality of close relationships. Friends are not adapted to in the way a new apartment is. None of these things will give you a dopamine spike. That's why they feel like nothing while you're doing them. But they shift the baseline slowly in the direction your reward system actively resists. The reframe is brutal and gentle at the same time. You will never arrive at happiness because happiness was never a destination. It was a chemical event scheduled to expire. The thing you are chasing will, with mathematical certainty, become the new wallpaper within months of arriving. Knowing this doesn't kill the chase. The chase is built into you, but it lets you stop being surprised that the chase doesn't deliver what it keeps promising. The only happiness available is the one you stop and notice. The first sip of coffee, the text from your friend. The fact that you can read this sentence. Your brain wants to file it as background. Refuse. That refusal is the only place happiness has ever lived. If this kept you thinking longer than you expected, that's the channel working. Subscribe. The next one's already coming.